No noise.
No. Hello teachers, and thank you so much for joining this live streamed community event on the Teaching English Facebook page, brought to you by the British Council. My name is Marcus James, and in today's live discussion we have Ruth Horsfall. Hi Ruth, how are you?
Hi Marcus, hi everybody, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent. So Ruth is going to be helping us to help our learners, our young learners specifically, see the progress that they are making. Of course, Ruth, it's a difficult one, isn't it? You know, children don't always know that they're improving, even though we can see it, their parents can see it, but very often they aren't quite aware of it. So is it an important thing? I mean, do children need to know that they're improving?
Yes, I mean, as you just said there, it's particularly important, and it's a fascinating area actually, because children at primary age are quite used to taking part in activities, participating, communicating, you know, as I'm sure all the teachers who are with us today know. But it's really quite difficult for them to actually understand their progress sometimes and be able to celebrate that, right? Which is what we all want to do. Partly because language learning and acquisition is not black and white, it's not a tick box exercise. All learners are different. All learners progress, acquire language and, you know, assimilate language at different pace, speed, etc. So it is quite difficult. And also often our learners are perhaps used to having a grade, so getting a number or a letter or a very good. But do they actually know what that means and what that lets them know about how they're actually moving forward? So yes, it's a tricky area, but you know, a really interesting one, and so important to child's learning.
Of course. I mean, I remember, you know, learning when I was a child. Funny you should mention about the grades, and I remember the stickers. There was like an elephant sticker and a giraffe sticker and a star sticker as well. So I mean, those were what helped motivate me. I remember, you know, loving seeing the stickers on my work.
That's fantastic. I mean, motivation there, you know, you've hit the nail on the head. That is the reason why we need to make sure we do this, because we know how important motivation is to help learners feel engaged and want to continue learning, want to come to the next lesson. So motivation is key. And in order to feel motivated, you need to know that it's all worth it. You know, that what you've been doing or what you've not been doing, not going to football or not going to a different activity, has actually, you know, been able to bear fruit, and you can now do something that you couldn't before. And isn't that wonderful? So, you know, we need to look at ways of helping learners be able to understand that and see it with their own eyes and in their own language as well.
That's a good point there. So
language, as in, you know, communicating at the level that they understand, not necessarily in L1.
Right, because I mean, I think we're all guilty of giving praise, and if that praise is well done at the end of every activity or some kind of assessment, then there's no benchmark there, is there?
Exactly. And I think what we need to look at doing is make sure that we're really clear about the learning objectives. So that'll be like my number one tip, that the learning objectives need to be really clear. And there's a nice way of looking at that, which is the ABCD framework. So when you're thinking of a learning aim or an objective, make sure that it's achievable, so that it's appropriate for the age and for the you know, the cognitive ability of the children in your class, that it's believable. That, you know, I am going to be able to achieve that, and it's not something that's out of my range, and it is motivating. See that it's conceivable, because we need to be clear and give learners a learning objective that's measurable, that I can go back, reflect on, and measure myself against. And finally, D, that it's desirable, that we want to do it, that we've got such an exciting dynamic activity prepared that it really does get us going to be able to move forward and take part, participate and learn.
Lovely. So there's a lot of information there, Ruth. Could you repeat the ABCD for me?
Yeah,
Again,
sure.
just
Yeah, so achievable would be the A,
mhm.
believable, the B, conceivable, the C, and desirable, the D. So, a little way of remembering, clear, structured, meaningful ways to set up a learning objective.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. Just a quick shout out to many of our followers, teachers who are watching from all around the world. I can see Nasser from Syria, who I think joins us for every single session.
Fantastic.
Mohsin in Pakistan, Zinia in Pakistan, Halima in Algeria, Edgard in Nicaragua, Jessica in the Philippines, Jamila in Pakistan, Zoe in Georgia, Amelia in Batam, not sure where that is. So Amelia, please do let us know. And Widad in Algeria as well. So lots and lots of teachers who are watching, Mira in Cuba as well. Fantastic. So Ruth, the teachers who are watching, I can see, from Southeast Asia, quite a few of our teachers, and I imagine they would have, as is quite common, large classes as well. So how, teachers have a lot to do, we know that. How can we encourage or help our learners when we have so many of them in class? We may have 30, may even have up to 40 in front of us. Is there anything that's quite manageable that teachers can do to help learners?
Yes, and very, very good point. It is perhaps more challenging to do in a larger classroom. However, the key, I think, is learner training and routine. So from the very beginning, we're setting up our learners before an activity to have a really quick stage of flash up the learning objective. Okay, everybody's looking at it, everybody's taking it on board, and what you can do is have quite a structured, because you do need a lot of structure in a large class. It's more difficult to do independent instructions and eliciting. So in a structured way, have space in the notebook or in the pages that you use, or whatever students use to record, where they have a little traffic lights or checklist, and they are they take a moment, depending on the age, just to do some smiley faces next to the learning objective that they might be able to copy down in quite a controlled stage. That could be one way of doing it. Another way could just be once when getting the attention of all of the children, and just starting from very beginning, just with thumbs up, or thumbs to the side, or something physical that shows that you're on board with what that learning objective is, because what we need to do is get children involved in the learning. So those could be one or two ways of helping in a larger class. But I think starting from very, very simple, trying to repeatedly ask learners, so what are we doing? What did you do? What did you do well? Just so that you're training them, so that you can then eventually go into kind of more complex success criteria type stages with them, which is when you're looking at the learning objective broken down into things I need to do in order to do that task successfully.
So, I mean, obviously this does sound quite complex, when we talk about metacognition and all of that. I mean, at what age really can young learners start really understanding how they learn?
Well, from around the age of 6, it's possible to do basic activities like 2 stars and a wish. Once an activity is finished, it could be a game, it could be a matching activity, it could be drawing a picture and describing it to your partner. Once that activity is finished, children from the age of 6 should be able to identify 2 great things, so 2 stars and 1 wish. Okay, that would be quite difficult at the beginning, but once they get into it, they should be able to reflect. Or smiley faces, or thumbs up, or stand up, sit down. So asking basic questions at the beginning, so not involving any worksheets or writing or checklists, but just, really simple questions, and, depending on how well you think you did that, stand up tall, or, to stand, sort of hunched down, or medium, so kind of a physical representation of how we think we're doing it. And it's a process. It will take a while, and it's just training our learners to think about how they've done. So a simple reflection activity, starting with that, and then as children get older, of course, you can introduce more complicated or complex, sophisticated ways of reflecting on achievement of tasks.
All right, I love that. I just want to bring up a comment here from Layla, who says, in my opinion, working in groups with different levels can help students to understand easier. And if we just take this idea of working in groups, because I know in primary schools it's quite common to sit around sort of a set of 4 tables, maybe dotted across the classroom. Would you sort of consider, because I think so far a lot of the ideas have been very individual, focusing on learners separately, would there be a way to maybe bring in collaborative, maybe peer assessment, or some kind of group reflection?
Definitely. I mean, if students are working on tables or pods or groups on a project, a very nice way to share the learning reflection is to, have post-its on each of those tables where, there's a moment in the lesson, either all at the same time, or the teacher might be monitoring and doing it in table by table, asking children to draw a smiley face, or how many smiley faces, according to how the project is going, or if they are able to read well in English, even giving them that success criteria on the table, and getting them to, if we all know that primary learners love little stamps. So if you've got a little stamp, stamping what you've already done, you may need more time to do other parts of the project, but stamp together what we have done. So yes, definitely. And that also helps children celebrate and understand the importance of working together, working in team, and collaborative thinking, which all sounds very difficult and complex, but it's actually enacting that together as a group that makes that work, I think. So working together as a team and collectively thinking about how we're doing, I think, and making sure that you get life skills in there as well, because we want to think about creativity, we want to think about citizenship, building teams. So little by little, introducing that into the success criteria can help as well.
Excellent. Sorry, this comment from Hadir has just distracted me. An English teacher from Egypt. Your videos are outstanding and informative as usual. Some lovely feedback there. That's very motivating for me to sort of organise more speakers like yourself for these sessions. Thank you, Hadir, for sharing your feedback. So, thinking now of the realities that a lot of teachers face in terms of the end of term test, the number, the grade that goes back to the parents, and that's something that they go on in terms of measuring their child's improvements. Obviously, we can do a lot of the work, as you mentioned, in class to help the learners themselves see the improvement they've made, but from the parent side, unless there's a regular communication, all they will have is end of term 1 grade, end of term 2 grade. If it goes up, they're improving. If it goes down, then they're not so. So is there a way that we can help parents of those learners see the improvements that their children are making?
Yes, and it's fundamental to learning that family are involved, because also that is motivating, and I'm sharing, and my family are partnering in my learning to help that more successful, whether that be English or another subject. So what we can do in that respect is, in the self-reflection, have for older primary learners, imagine our learners have taken part in a task where they have to design a tour, around a city, and they've worked really hard on a project, and they've got a lovely poster with a nice schedule and some pictures that they found, and they've presented that in English to their team and to their peers. We want to share all of that learning, everything that went on there, the vocabulary, the standing up in front of my peers, everything that happened there, share that with the family and celebrate it. And that is sharing and communicating how they're progressing. How can we do that? Well, we can have, very simple format of my reflection sheet goes home, and as well as putting for example, if we're using a traffic light system against the success criteria, so I designed a successful tour, for example. I talked about it to my team, and that goes home with maybe a photograph of the work or the work itself, and then there's a little box there for comment from the family. This is something that we did recently, and one of our teachers came back showing us that one of the learners had written, comment from my dad, I really want to go and visit the beautiful castle, and it was about Edinburgh. So it was a really nice example of how a child's reflection could go home, the parents or the family there were able to see that learning and get involved in it and actually make a comment, but not only on their progress, but actually on the content of their project as well. So that is one way of doing it, Marcus. And of course, you can also create longer term portfolios, which is something that is a really good way of documenting that progress and sharing a collection of work to parents and families at the end of a school term or year.
Yes, that's right. I mean, portfolio is a fantastic way. I mean, I've used them with my own young learners in the past, and they're really good if you've got students for a long time, like let's say an academic year, or if you're able to pass that portfolio on to their next teacher, so that they've got this ongoing record of improvement. And when you come across some of your old work, whatever it is that you do, and you think, I mean, I look at some of the old live streams I did. I mean, I can't believe how far we've come since then. I look at videos of myself speaking French when I was learning, and then it's like, oof. And it's very motivating to see that you may not feel that you've improved until you see that evidence. And,
exactly. The nice thing about portfolios, Marcus, is that they belong to the learner, and the learner makes the choice. So it's all about learner agency, learner autonomy, what we want to put in it. And, if you have nice cover sheets with a piece of work, if it's a physical portfolio or if it's digital, filled out online about why you chose that piece of work, what it helped you do, and what you learned in the process. For older learners, and for younger ones, some nice stars or smiley faces or a thumbs up, or other ways of symbolizing why they chose a piece of work, building that up. But it's a wonderful way of demonstrating just, and celebrating and just getting really excited about learning as well. And, as you say, you have documents of learning from the past, and it's something that's really special to individuals.
That's just it, because at the time, you don't see it as a document of learning.
No.
It's only when you look back or have something later to compare it with then it becomes that sort of evidence of learning, or a record of that improvement, doesn't it?
Exactly. And, yes, we know, as you said, that we will be getting grades, and, that is the way a lot of our education systems work. And so it's nice to have this alongside as well, because you have that grade for the measurement, and you may or may not really understand what that means. But if you also have that portfolio, you can look at that as well and see and reflect. And something we haven't yet discussed is that you can make an action plan. It's a springboard for you to then move forward and continue learning. So you can see, okay, what do I need to do here to make this even better, to do this even more in a more impressive way? And having that little mini action plan is quite a nice way of sort of understand, for learners to understand how what they have done has helped them and will help them learn in the future. And of course, again, it's a process, and it's helping them become autonomous learners and independent learners, which is what our kind of end game is, if you like.
Absolutely. Lots of great comments, Ruth, coming from teachers who are watching. Obviously, we were touching earlier on the idea of stickers and stamps. I just want to bring up Nasir's comment, colouring the feedbacks with happy and motivating words, as besides stamping the students' papers with light, happy colours, will inspire them to be productive students. I like that. Very similar to comment here from Zinnia. Oops, no, wrong one. Sorry, Brahim. We can award them with badges in the assembly as well. Oh, there's 2 points there, isn't there? So one, the badges, but in the assembly, I guess it's a sort of more of a public, formal, maybe slightly embarrassing event.
A community, yeah. And I think badges, and badges is a really nice way. So thank you for bringing that comment up. Thank you for your comment. Because also we know a lot of our students like playing games. They might play video games, or they might play other online games, whether we like that or not. And they're used to kind of this badge, the concept of a badge as well. So, it really is something that resonates with them. And that can be in a self-reflection way as well, so, you can have like a badge sheet with targets as well. So you've got your medals and your targets, and you can stick on your medals as you go along, and you might want to add something to your target about where I need to get to next.
Absolutely, I love that. In fact, interesting you mention badges, because a lot of the comments that are coming in are from our top fans who have a badge, whether they've been following us for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, how much they contribute to the discussion as well. So that's a good, interesting. I'm not sure if my camera's okay. Hopefully it will. Last us the next 5 minutes or so. From Nabila, mentions appreciation certificates. So I guess very similar in that respect to a badge, but maybe a little bit more formal.
I think, any way of celebrating as a group and helping form a positive community, because a positive learning environment is everything when learning a language. So from a very early age, celebrating, that a learner helped a peer, helped a friend, or that they designed a really, it doesn't have to be the best in class, we don't have to be comparing, but that they've designed a really attractive, appealing poster that we think will help us attract people to our museum tour, in a task, for example, something like that. So it could be it could be connected, the certificate could be connected to a language objective, a project objective, or it could be about values and life skills in the classroom. So helping foster both of those things, of course, are important for the future, because once our primary learners become secondary and then they're out into the global world where they need to communicate and interact, they are the ones who need to feel confident. And we haven't yet spoken about this. I can't believe we got this far without mentioning confidence, but that is obviously key to setting up our learners for success in their future endeavours in English.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, yeah, we've got a few more minutes left then, Ruth. Sorry, I did bring up Rubina's comment, who mentions how much appreciation matters and enhances that intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, an intrinsic motivation that goes right back to what we said at the beginning. Rubina, thanks for bringing that up around, this is something from the early years foundation stage from the UK, that learning objectives help with intrinsic motivation of children from a very, very young age. So going back to the basics there and looking at that intrinsic motivation is, it's definitely a reason why we should all be thinking about helping our learners celebrate and see their progress.
Excellent. So quick comment, and then I'll ask you about the confidence. Oh, so many comments. This one from Gisela. Wonderful ideas about the stamps. They really work. Students love them. They feel proud of themselves. I use different stamps according to students' progress. So I guess if they're sort of making a social effort, or their behavior is improving, or if their grammar is improving, maybe, I'm not sure. Gisela, if you could explain a little bit more. But Gisela mentioned Class Dojo as well. I think a very popular app or web app that a lot of teachers use. Very motivating, and have feedback to parents there as well, and you can award those badges, if I remember correctly.
I mean, that's right, Marcus. There are a lot of digital platforms, apps, programs, and I know that a lot of teachers might be using different ones. Obviously, there's always the caveat of, with our organisation, we have to look at data protection, and we have to check our safeguarding, and I'm sure everybody's been through this before actually going forward and deciding which app or digital tool to use. Sorry to sound boring there, but that's also something important to take into consideration though when we're going into the digital sphere with potential interaction from children there. But yes, in the classroom, having nice, attractive digital encouragement is definitely really motivating and engaging for our learners.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So I promised to ask you about the role of confidence in learners' improvement.
I mean, confidence is everything, isn't it, Marcus? I mean, how many times have we spoken to adult learners where, they're just terrified about, oh my goodness, back in the day, I was very good at filling in gaps and writing and this, but got to speak, or, I've got to communicate with somebody. And I remember that from, I studied modern languages at university. I remember having to do oral exams, and I was terrified. And it was because I didn't have confidence in myself. So from a very young age, and this is linked to the positive learning environment, but just as much praise and as much feedback and as much as letting them in on the act, as I like to call it, helping them be successful is only going to boost their confidence, because it's going to boost their motivation, and it's going to help them feel that they can take risks with the language as well, which is what confidence is all about. I take risks, I might make a mistake, but it's okay. I've communicated and I've been successful in many different ways. So that, taking risks is linked to confidence, and that's what we want our students to do with language, so that they can develop and experiment and continue to improve, develop and progress.
And that rounds up the half hour very nicely. Thank you, Ruth, so much for helping us out in this live stream. It's been a very popular one. I can see lots and lots of teachers watching and sharing their ideas as well. So Ruth Horsfall, you're in Spain. You're the Young Learners Courses Manager, that's right?
That's right, yes, I'm the academic lead here, Marcus. Yeah.
All right, good. So you know what you're talking about. Teachers, thank you for joining us. Do continue the discussion in the comments on this video. Share your experience of teaching young learners and helping them see their own progress as well. Big thanks to Karen, who has been moderating in the comments as well. Stay tuned to Teaching English. This month we are focusing on all things assessment related. So today was our first session looking at young learners. Stay tuned for in about 30 minutes. Vanita and Huma, our course moderators from Assessing Learning, will be telling us all about assessment. So lots going on. Ruth, teachers, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.